best entertainment on the earth. Tune in for Comics with Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch, and good news. Have you been holding out hope that somewhere, somehow, DC would decide to de-age Jon Kent and have Superboy kind of as he was, Jon Kent, young, just back to that Jon Kent? Have you been wanting this? Well, your prayers have been answered because DC is, in fact, and this is, imagine a world where the Jon Kent Superman wasn't rapidly aged to the young adult he is now, but instead matured normally and served as a Robin-like sidekick to his father. Doesn't that sound great? I know a lot of you have been asking for this. That's the apparent premise of Dark Crisis, Worlds Without a Justice League, Superman #1. A DC July one-shot. Well, that's not so good, just one shot, but still we'll take what we get, right? That serves as a tie-in to Joshua Williamson's Death of the Justice League and subsequent Dark Crisis 7-issue event series. With the main Superman story, Jon Kent, this is great, right? Jon Kent, young Jon Kent, people have been asking, begging, hoping this day would come. Well, here it is. So this comic, written by Tom King, Tom King and Chris Burnham bring to you young Jon Kent. When Superman is killed along with the Justice League teammates at the hands of Pariah and his Dark Army, all hope is lost. The July special is described by the publisher as a look at the world of dreams that he never would have thought possible while alive. Tom King explains Superman is maybe my favorite character to write, and Chris is one of my favorite artists in comics who I've been dying to work with for years. His project is an absolute joy, unlike the joy that we felt by the readers and the character, who will be miserable. No, it doesn't say that part. Sorry. It's an important and emotional journey about what Clark missed when he missed John's teenage years, the pain and the glory of seeing your boy grow up. I suspect issues. All right. Where there's life, there's hope. DC's description of the story continues. But we will crush all that hope with Tom King's... No, again, I'm sorry. That's not what it says. With that hope comes a deeper unraveling of the tapestry of DC Universe's biggest event of 2022. Remember when they used to say DC's biggest event ever or Marvel's biggest event ever? Now they're not even kidding. It's like the biggest event this year. We know we have 5 of them. This is the biggest one of the 5. This issue will also feature an Aquaman tribute story by Brandon Thomas and Chuck Brown, which includes Aquaman revealing that he always hated fish. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't written by Tom King. So there you go. We're getting Jon Kent as a child, but like every monkey's paw wish, this story will be written by a legendary ruiner of dreams, Tom King, who will deliver to us a story of the pain and tragedy of what happens when you don't get to watch your son grow up, and now they'll be able to watch him grow up, so expect angst, pain, suffering, and all the exciting things that that's why we come to DC Comics in the first place, right? Pain and suffering. That really is the only thing that makes sense at this point. But that's what we've got. So all kidding aside, actually, there may be some more kidding. I think it's smart for DC to do this, to do some Jon Kent stories. I think one of the prospects of the Omniverse and this idea that everything matters and it can all be true, was going to be that, you could do some in-continuity stories, and you could have a running series, for that matter, of young Jon Kent. You could have the Super Sons book continue. Why not? It didn't sell amazing, but it sold okay. And you could have that comic, on the shelves and making money. And it could sit alongside older Jon Kent. It could sit alongside all these kinds of things, because in the Omniverse, everything counts, and you could have just all these stories there. So I kind of always assumed, for me, the idea of a young Jon Kent, I was not as obsessed with it as some were, but it did seem like obvious money, especially when you look at Scholastic, talking about the Miles Morales story that's actually doing really, really well at Scholastic. I believe that's closing in on 500,000 copies sold. The Miles Morales, graphic novel there, doing well on Amazon. And so if you look at that and you say, what's the one lesson we can take from this? Well, it's like the one lesson seems to be kid superheroes, that are done well without a lot of kind of weird social agenda nonsense, just straight up adventure stories sold to kids that are in their, 6 to 12 range. That's something that, you don't want to have every single comic in your line appeal to that, but a couple seem smart. And if Marvel's now going to cash in on Miles Morales, and, thank goodness they finally pulled their head out of their ass and are doing that, because Miles is just an obvious, easy one to do there. For that age group, I mean, totally easy. Get that kind of, middle school, junior high school, try to be a hero, fun, colorful art like we saw in Into the Spider-Verse. That's like the biggest no-brainer in comics. You do something there, and you sell it through Scholastic, where they're going to get it in front of kids, and more power to you. Some of you may ask, and every now and then, like, why do you have to insert the "it has no social agenda" part? Well, it's because a lot of these comics for YA, for those audiences, it feels like they can't help themselves. They just have to get in there and want to tell a bigger lesson, bigger story about the pain of childhood and adolescence and bullying and LGBTQ themes and all the rest. And it's fine. Again, it's fine to do some of those. That there is an audience there you can go sell to, but it's you need to just have some, for lack of a better word, help me out in the comments. Bread and butter superhero adventure stories, things that any kid, regardless of race or sexual orientation or any of that, can pick up and say, I want a story about a relatively young child superhero beating up some stuff and having fun adventures that aren't too serious, and I'm going to do things like the Nubia comic that had a school shooting in it. Why would you insert that in there? Scholastic's not going to carry that. They're not a reseller that's going to sell comics into schools is not going to want a comic that has a school shooting in it. I mean, crazy, right? And I remember I talked to some people at DC who were like, we do not understand why the schools, why Scholastic, why some of these places wouldn't carry Nubia. It's like, because you put a school shooting in the book, you dumbass. I mean, come on. Come on. You can't be this dumb. I guess you can. Anyway, so Miles Morales doing well. It feels to me like on DC side, it would be super obvious, barely an inconvenience, to put in a Superboy, Super Son. I mean, it's right there. Son of Superman, son of Batman, teaming up and having fun adventures. And I mean, like, God, there's like the easiest possible. You're handing that story on a silver platter. Just roll that out. Don't put it into comic stores, fine, but really go after, put it into Scholastic, do these other things. Anyway, that seems like a good thing. Of course, that's not where we're getting here. This is a Dark Crisis one shot tying into the misery of what Tom King brings to the table. So there you go. I do love, part of me finds it extremely funny that people have been begging for, a Tom King, or sorry, they haven't been begging for Tom King. What am I saying? They've been begging for Jon Kent de-aged as a kid, those adventures. Please, why doesn't DC give this to us? Please give it to us. That's what you wanted. And it is. It's a classic kind of monkey's paw. See, sorry, you're getting something very different. And there you go. So anyway, enjoy. Tom King, young Jon Kent, are you into it? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.